Morning.
Morning. How are you, Jamie?
How are you?
I'm good.
Hanging in
I think
there?
it's going to be sunny today. What's that?
Oh, we need that.
You're telling me.
Monday looks gorgeous.
I know. It's unfortunate that we can't even, like, for those of us that golf, that we can't even go out and golf at all.
I know. I think it's crazy. Like, you're outside. There's 4 of you. That's pretty distant.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Hey, Karina. I think you're muted.
Good morning.
How are you?
Again. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Everybody awake this morning?
Yep.
Top of the morning, Chris.
Top of the
Guys,
morning.
me.
I actually, I went to Home Depot this morning at like 5:50 right before they opened to see if I could get my hands on some like sanitizer and some wipes and stuff. And the guy was outside. He's like, "Don't even think about it." He's like, "You're gonna have to. We get a shipment in tonight, and then you can order it online and then do curbside. Because that'd probably be your best bet." So.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's also a food wholesaler that usually delivers to restaurants that's packing for individuals out of Northern Liberties, and they have boxes of gloves and sanitizers.
That's awesome. That's a good tip.
You can drop your groceries. They'll even do contactless drop off and put it in the back of your car so you never cross paths. But anyway, they have a lot of sanitizer and stuff there.
That's awesome.
Thanks for that, Ann. I appreciate it.
Hey, check with your cleaning service for your office also. We actually had our cleaning folks order supplies for us through their janitorial service.
Oh, wow. Okay. Absolutely. I just, in our building, because we're in a high rise, our market center, and I talked to the cleaning guy yesterday, and I said, "Listen, can you, for the title company, can you leave some sanitizer wipes or, anything that you can do to help out?" He's like, "Yeah, we have a nice little stash. I'm going to leave some for the title company." I'm like, "Oh, great."
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. We have toilet paper coming out of our ears. TLG Gives decided that was going to be like our thing. And so we collected, toilet paper, and we've been handing out, gosh, I'm not even sure what the count is now, how many families we've served. It's been amazing.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I always like to start on time. That's how I am. And so I want to get this going for sure because we don't have a ton of time. I want to make the most of your time and everyone else's. So I just want to say it is an absolute honor and privilege to have you on the call today. Someone who's built their business to a level that is just super impressive. And really what I want to deep dive into today is kind of what you guys went through with Hurricane Harvey, through that disaster and then the aftermath on how you guys got your team to get through it. What your mindset was like, and then dealing with the coronavirus right now, what we all can do in regards to learning from what you guys did in Hurricane Harvey and what you guys are doing actually right now. So without further ado, I just want to introduce Karina Loken to everyone. We have an amazing bunch of leaders on this call today. So take it away, Karina.
I'll say, I know a few of you guys. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, so I guess the long and short of it is, you guys, when Harvey hit, and let's start by saying the two are different. Okay, I want to make sure that hurricanes are much more, well,
There you go. I think you broke up a little bit there. Can everyone hear Karina?
oh, they're interesting. There's not, I might need to move to a different room if that happens again.
No worries.
For our hurricane, there was a finite amount of time of, it's short. It's not the anxiety of it's going to be weeks and weeks until we don't know how it's going to hit us. And, every day changes. That's the same. It was a very unknown, anxious time for people of how many more days, or quite frankly, weeks, am I going to have water in my house? How many more months until I get the help that I need to get somebody in here and get the repairs made so that I can function in my home again? Or how long till I'm going to get, like right now, there's lots of grants and money and whatnot. The government's trying to really help and stipend, same thing with FEMA, right? But how long is it going to be till I see any of that, right? That I get a little bit of the relief. So there are a lot of similarities. One thing that I think is always a constant in any disaster or crisis, whether it's natural or not, is the hysteria, right? and the panic that people get into, and the emotions, right? Something happens and we have a feeling about it, right? So there's definitely a difference between fact and emotion, but a lot of the facts create the emotion. And I think that's one of the things that people are struggling with right now the most, that I'm seeing, is number one, sorting the facts, right? Because we're dependent on the news and the media for coverage. In a hurricane, like, we were living it. So we pretty well knew the facts. We were in these people's houses. We were driving streets or not being able to get through streets, right? So it was right in front of us. I think the unknown creates more anxiety. So I think that's something that we're dealing with now that's a little bit different, honestly. But from a business standpoint, what's not different is the uncertainty of, okay, so now what do I do about buying or selling real estate, right? Do I not? Is the economy going to be okay? There are a lot more widespread economic conditions with this than there was with a localized hurricane in, one city or a couple of cities combined. So that changes the dynamic here a little bit too. And what we saw in Hurricane Harvey, you guys, we had 62 resale closings that were supposed to close that month, and 2 closed. 1, 2. And wow. that was a little scary to say the least. The fortunate thing was, and we didn't know it until hindsight, right? Until the next month. But after, we learned this from Gary afterwards, after any real natural disaster or man-made, really, but any kind of a crisis situation, where things kind of halt or slow down, there's a surge afterwards. And we actually very much experienced that, because the following month, had a compounded effect. Once we got everybody, back to where they could sell their homes, we really didn't have very many people affected that were our current clients at the time. And we ended up really, for the most part, just postponing those 60 closings. And the following month was our biggest month to date that year ever in the history of our company. And so I think right now that's really, having that experience and the emotions that go with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's scary, right? Especially if you're the rainmaker, you're responsible for these people. You're responsible for making sure that they don't settle into a space of fear, so that they keep driving the business forward as much as we all humanly can right now, and feel empowered, right? There's a big difference between just being like the rah rah and being really positive, and that can come across like really ingenuine, versus really showing up as their leader and giving them actionables so that they feel really empowered to lean into it and do something. So that was what we did, honestly. And we did not, I don't think, really truly realize the magnitude of what was happening until again, hindsight's 2020, until it was kind of behind us. So the hurricane warehouse that Keller Williams had secured ahead of time fell through. I don't know if it had water in it or what happened, but it fell through like at the last minute. And so literally as the hurricane was coming in upon us, they, put out an APB to everybody in the area. If anyone knows anyone that has a large enough warehouse kind of a facility that we could use. And so we put it out to the team, and one of the gals on our team, her softball coach, literally just opened a welding business. He had 2 projects. That's it. He had 2 employees. That's it. Like their trash cans hadn't even been used yet. Bless their hearts. And they opened their warehouse to us, 25,000 square feet of a brand new warehouse space for him. And he just donated it, which was remarkable. And yeah, I mean, what a blessing. And because we were the connection, we just, and not that we wouldn't have anyhow, but we just went pouring in, right? Like in droves. We actually went in my truck, which Lance and I had to have words about that. But in very high water to, get through to where we could see the facility and make sure it was going to work. And for the next 2 weeks, half of our team, we had about 60 people at that point, and half of our team was in that warehouse for 2 solid straight weeks. And the other half of our team was pounding the phones and calling all of our clients and making sure that they were okay. We started with our team. That was kind of our action step. While we were stuck, we started and called everybody in our organization, made sure everybody was safe. Then the next step was to call all of our current clients and check on them, make sure that they were safe. And that was current was anybody who was even painting their house right now, getting ready, right? Like, we are in a direct relationship with you right now, and we're checking on you. And that was it. It wasn't, is your house going to be okay? Can we still, that wasn't the conversation. It was just, are you okay? Is your family safe? We were having conversations at that point, you guys, of do we need to have somebody come and get you out of your attic, off your roof? We were scrambling to coordinate people on boats to get into neighborhoods and rescue people. Our stagers, uncle, I think it was uncle and aunt, had to be airlifted off their roof, like out of their attic. They had to cut a hole in their roof and pull them out of their attic and helicopter them out. Like, that was the situation. It was unbelievable. And I've never seen anything like it. And here's the thing, the way people rallied together, right? Like, nobody ever stopped for a minute to even think like, oh, this is kind of scary, or wow, I'm not sure what I should do here, right? Like, everybody just dove into action. And it was amazing to see hundreds and hundreds of people at the warehouse almost immediately from KW. Before we had KW Cares that was stuck. They had 3 trucks already locked and loaded on the way here, and the National Guard stopped them because the water was still too high for them to get through from the direction they had to come from. But there were a couple of other trucks that came from different parts of the country that were showing up right before KW Cares did. And like, all of a sudden we had all these 18-wheelers full of supplies that people from all around the country had rallied and sent us. And it was just amazing. But it was also really a project to get those trucks unloaded and get things sorted and get it out to the people who really needed it, which is, I think, what we're experiencing now, right? Like, so now how do we take care of our community? How do we lean in and help our neighbors? We can't necessarily go far, but we all live in communities, whether it's in a high rise or whether it's in a residential neighborhood community. I don't know if you guys have Coal Directory that you can call all the neighbors in your neighborhood and just say, hey, I live here too. Is there anything I can bring you, right? Do you or your family need anything? If they're quarantined for 2 weeks and they're not allowed out of their room, right? That makes it really hard to get to the grocery store and get extra supplies or get stuff that's made for their kids if they're a parent and they're not really supposed to be touching anything their kids touch. So how can we be helping and leaving stuff on the front porch? We've got a lot of people leaving like sidewalk chalk on people's front steps that's sterilized so that the kids and families can be making, encouraging notes out on the streets for people when they're out taking walks with their family at night. But I had a conversation with one of the girls on our team who, believe it or not, was not with us during the hurricane. And she she said, you know, from all the stories I've heard, she joined us right after Harvey. She said, all the stories I've heard, Karina, from everybody, even not having been there, the thing that I've heard the most is how everybody rallied together and they had such a unification by having this thing they were fighting for together, and how you guys just like dove right head first. And yesterday I was reading an article on fear, and what it actually said, and there's a lot of neuroscience behind it, and I geek out on that, so I won't bore you guys this morning. It's still a little early for all that. But what it said was your brain, as they've studied it, it literally cannot focus on two things. So funny thing, the One Thing book actually has a whole lot of neuroscience behind it, of where all that comes from. But if you're having, now this is conscious fear, right? There's a difference. And even the article separated it. It's not like you're triggered like, it's a spider. It's not that. Although we've been doing that a lot lately around here. It's the conscious, like, man, anxiety. I don't know what's going to happen next. Well, what if this? Well, it's all the what ifs, right? The worry. And well, what if I can't do this? And I don't want this to, it's that, right? The perpetual. And if your brain is focusing on that, then it paralyzes you from being able to move forward and do anything productive, because it can't literally focus on both. So you can use that to your benefit, and you can plan your actionable of what do you want, right? What do you want to see happen? You can lean this direction and lean into the activity and the action that's truly what you want to see happen, and the fear goes away. Because in the reverse, you can't focus on the fear, and then you start a success cycle very quickly, right? So now you've done some action, some activity, good has come out of it, right? So now you have the success that builds confidence, and it really just stems from a commitment. And looking back after, you know, now fast forward 2 years and lots of extra coaching and things that I've, you know, been blessed to learn in the last couple of years, and looking back, because hindsight is really truly 2020, to look at the whole experience and see that's really honestly what we did. We dove in so headfirst, so committed, that it didn't matter what was going on, quite frankly, in our business. It mattered what was happening with our clients. It mattered to us that everybody was safe first and foremost. And then we just were full steam ahead, whatever it was going to take. And that's really how we operate anyhow. I mean, our whole team is a do whatever it takes. And when you lean in with that kind of a commitment, you guys, and just do activity that you know is a positive forward movement, you're golden.
That's awesome. I know for myself, I'm pouring into my community and giving back, and I'm meeting new people that I've never met before. And it just feels good to help other people, you know? So that's great stuff, Karina. I want to open this up for Q&A, but first, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you the first question. I think a lot of people want to ask this as well. As a team leader, as an independent agent, so whether you're a TL on a team or have a team, or you're an independent agent, in your opinion, what's like the number one thing right now, today, that everyone should be doing?
Oh, you should be spending your whole day on the phone, whole day. I also, we didn't even talk about this. I had the blessing of starting my real estate career when Hurricane Ike hit. It's like a trend in my life, I guess. And literally, like, my test, I got delayed taking my test because I couldn't get to the testing site. I mean, it was happening. And that one was really windy. It blew roofs off. And everything got delayed from that too, because appraisers had to come and reappraise properties and see if they were still sellable. And I didn't know anything. I didn't know my head from my toes at that point, right? I was just getting my license. But that whole next year, as that recession hit, you know, the Great Recession, right? What I watched was so many agents who had great businesses before. I mean, 10 and 15-year veterans that were in my KW office around me, and they were really, really struggling. And quite a few of them have gotten out of the business or are barely still 10 years later making it, because they were like, again, paralyzed. They didn't know what to do, but they were waiting for business to kind of come to them that had always come. They were, I mean, I hate to say the word, but they were a little bit spoiled, right? They were used to doing business the way they did business, and didn't pick up and realize they had to do things a little differently, which is what I think all of us are experiencing right now. And I was too dumb to know better. And my team leader just kept saying, Karina, just make calls, get on the phone. And I just made calls. I was third in my office that year, you guys, just because all I did was make calls. And it was truly not because I literally didn't know anything. I didn't even know scripts to call with, but I got on the phones. And honestly, that was the biggest blessing, one of the biggest lessons for us of the Loken Group. And it's part of why we have such, a strong ISA department now, and why we believe so heavily in that lead gen model, because that's what it's all about. And guys, right now, the business that you get is business you're not going to ever lose, right? The relationships that you're building right now, if you really, really, and for some of us, that's hard. Like, let's just be real about that. Not all of us are relationship people. We've been joking that Lance this has been like his favorite little, crisis, because nobody can hug each other. And he's like, this is great. Like, why couldn't we have like invented these rules sooner? Cause he's just not a touchy kind of feely guy. And of course that's making light of things, but, not all of us are relationship based. Like, that's just not our jam per se. We're more just, he's very numbers, right? And black and white. But right now, all of us need to dig in and just care about people, just check on them, because those relationships, you'll never lose them, guys. But if you're not building those relationships right now, you may lose them forever. Truly. So
Yeah.
call. Our first round of calls was all just to check on people. Now we're digging into calls starting this week and saying, okay, like, the reality is some people really need to buy and sell yet too. And we are still in business, and this is how we're doing it, that it's safe for you. We've really put a plan in place that we can, articulate that to folks. And the beginning of your phone call still has to be, how are you? How is your family? Are you okay?
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. We had our team meeting for my team yesterday, and one of the things that we focused on was, it's funny how, a lot of people have been focusing on, if you're on a team, getting leads, and, the team that are buying leads. I said, we've preached this since day one, is how to self lead generate on your own. And now is the time where it's really hitting home right now, where you go back to basics and get on your phone and start at A and go to Z and make calls, and just good old fashioned lead gen, go back to MREA, so I love the fact that you brought that up.
Yeah. Call. I mean, just not that they really exist anymore, the phone book, but like, get a phone list, for Pete's sake. Just make calls. I was calling just rando numbers my first year. I sold, guys, my first year, because I didn't know, again, I was too dumb to know anything. I sold 3 houses to 3 people I had never met. And I sold them houses that neither one of us ever saw in person. Right? So,
Wow.
yeah, and we're doing it now again. And those people, like, I still have maintained contact with them, which is kind of wild. So, like, think outside the box. I think that's the other thing, Chris, right now, everybody needs to be doing, is really, truly innovating. And like I said, I know a few people in this group. This is a phenomenal group to mastermind with. And you guys, to come together with your very best ideas and think, all right, what does a buyer and seller need to feel in order to feel safe buying or selling a home right now, right? That safety is number 1 right now. Number 2, what does a buyer or seller want to know about a house, and how do we get it to them virtually from where I'm sitting? How do I get through every step of a transaction? And we've even like polled some of our spouses, what would you need to know in order to buy a house, right? Because we get so caught up in the day-to-day that sometimes we forget about some things. The one we haven't quite figured out yet is, how do we help people know what a house smells like from remote? we haven't figured that one out yet, but and there are some cleaning services, like that's still an essential service, right? So, we can have a cleaning service as part of the sale, maybe, that goes in and sterilizes the home before the sale as part of the deal. Most sellers are going to be willing, if they can get their house sold right now, to pick up an extra $200, $250, cleaning fee with some bleach, and then most of the smell goes away. Anyhow,
That's awesome, Karina. I'm going to open it up to the floor. Who else has questions for Karina?
I don't have a question. I just want to say hi to Karina.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
And Chris Stevens, you took the question that I was going to ask. That always happens. You know, and obviously one of the
Sorry,
reasons it's okay. You know, the main reason I'm here is I saw Karina, I saw Chris Stevens. I'm like, you know what? 8 a.m. is a little early for me. I have my own team call at 8:30. I'm taking notes. I'm going to reiterate a lot of the things that Karina just said, but I'm just happy, you know, to see her. She's awesome, one of the best agents in the country, and to have her on a call, you know, for the market center, I think is just awesome. So I can't stay too long. I think this ends at 8:30, but I just wanted to say hi and thank you.
You're sweet. I have a team call at, well, your time, 8:30 too, Chris. Thank you. That was really sweet. But guys, the reality is it's not Karina. It's not Lance. It's our team. I don't know the dynamics of everybody on this call, but guys, your people are your biggest asset. And right now, I can't stress to you enough how much you need to remember that and how much you need to be so readily available. I crashed 2 nights ago. I literally just emotional and physical and mental fatigue, and I crashed, honestly, even with some tears. Like, I was just exhausted, and Lance was like, I don't know what to do. Of course, you know, Mr. Cactus t-shirt, right? Like, help, what do I do for you? I was like, I'm just tired, because more than ever right now, you know, we just have to be emotional support. I got a phone call text at 9:30 last night. One of the gals on our team, her husband got laid off, and 2 little kids at home. And she was like, I just need somebody to talk to. You're the first person. How do I support my husband? Right. So all those calls with your team, whatever's going on in their real life outside of your team business, you've got to be there for them in a big way right now, and still keep their mindset up to drive them forward. And that's, you know, right now is a great opportunity for all of us to really hone in on our leadership skills too, but just take care of your people.
Yep, that's great advice. It's 8:22, so I think we have time for maybe 2 questions, and then we're going to let Karina go. So, 2 more questions.
I had a question. Hey, Karina, this is Ilan from Philly also. I wanted to ask, we're having, obviously, I don't know about your side, but we are not allowed to do any showings. I have good listings right now. I have good listings that I can put on the market, and I'm just honestly concerned myself to even pitch my seller that I'll be able to sell it, given I can't even get people in there. I mean, I have good listings on the market right now, and I have 0 showings. And we're doing the virtual thing. We have walkthroughs with Matterport. We have all that stuff. It's just I'm still finding difficulty getting people through the house. So what are your thoughts on that, and what's going on your side in regards to showings?
Sure. If you can't get people physically in the house, how are you going to show them the house, right? That's the question. Yeah. And I don't mean that as a, well, you can't. That's not the answer, by the way.
Right.
Okay. I can't see your face. That's killing me.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Sorry. I don't care if you have morning hair. It's okay.
How about no shirt?
Yep, exactly.
All right.
Bottom left corner. No. Okay.
All right. How about this?
Oh, yay. There he is.
All right. Sorry about that.
He had to put a shirt on. Okay. We actually, that happened on our team call yesterday. Oh my word. We had everybody off because there's too many of us. It kills the bandwidth. Nobody can hear anybody if everybody's camera's on. So we all have to turn our cameras off. And he pops in, and the guy, like, it looks like he didn't have any clothes on. I was like, stop. Anyhow, you know what? Here's the thing. Again, like, make a list of what do buyers need to know in order to feel confident buying a house. What might we need to write into a clause that, you know, they get into the property, you know, as a final walkthrough, and there's, you know, something that, you know, I know some people are writing contracts and we're writing longer up. Do you guys have option periods?
Yeah, inspections or
yeah, like an inspection and option period. And so we're writing longer option periods. I'm
just having trouble getting people even through, like either there's no showings, and then I also, even buyers that I'm talking to are like, yeah, you know, we want to see the house or whatever. And the biggest stretch we could do is probably we could do the inspection period and then do an inspection, and then they would see the house. I think it's just, you know, the challenge of getting someone to believe that they're going to make an offer, then pay for an inspection, and then see the house. You know, that's the only thought process I could think of that someone would You know, I don't think anyone's going to buy a house without walking through the actual house at some point.
Well,
before the
then you
sale.
know what? You're not going to have a buyer that's going to buy a house until this thing's over. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was like that was Karina
Yep.
at 7 in the
Yeah.
morning. Sorry, didn't mean to be rude. No,
No,
seriously.
I guess that's what I wanted to hear, I guess, is that you didn't have a secret sauce to figuring that out.
No, it's your mindset. May I be fierce with you guys for a minute? Because I kind of just did and I didn't ask permission first. Shame on me. Sorry about that.
Please don't.
I'm from Lancaster, by the way. I'm a Northeasterner too at my heart. So here's the
That's
deal,
right.
you guys. Yeah, the Southern charm, it kind of falls off the wayside. Here's the deal. If your mindset is buyers aren't going to buy without seeing the house, guess what? Buyers aren't going to buy without seeing the house.
Yeah.
Dude, I had 3 people I never met and bought houses that neither of us ever saw. My first year in real estate, I didn't have any script to overcome anything. I didn't have any group to mastermind with. I just didn't know any better, right?
Yeah,
Same
it's just,
thing's happening now. We've written multiple contracts already this week, multiple that
are you allowed to
totally
show
virtual.
properties?
Huh?
Can you show Are you guys allowed to show properties?
We do, but most of our agents are not really wanting to. So we are prepping as though that's going to stop. And yes, a couple of them are still showing a couple properties, but we are writing contracts on houses that we have all done 100% virtual, start to finish.
Someone asked me, would you sell your mother a house like that? And it just shut me down. I got shut down. I was like, probably not. No, I don't think I would sell my mom a house without seeing it.
So if your mom had to find a place to live, would you do everything you could to make sure your mom had a place to live?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So would she buy a house if she didn't have a place to live?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I
So then
think
you
most
need to
people.
find the buyers that really want to buy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and Josh Team said on a call to us the other day, they're looking at the statistics and the reality is what would have gone into our pipeline, because that's really, you know, the point where you're seeing it right now is the most motivated, right? Like an A, what was an A for us with our little Pollyanna hat on is not necessarily an A now, right? That might be a little bit more of a B. So we've got to find all the A's, but what's happening and where they're seeing from a data standpoint is the front end on the pipeline, that out of like what would have been 10 people going into our pipeline right now, they're estimating it's looking more like that's going to be 3 or 4. So we have to double, somewhere between double and triple what we're putting in our pipeline to have the same result coming out 3 months from now in that lag measure. So as you know, again, back to what should you be doing right now, Chris? You should be on the phones because you've got to double down, triple down, and find the most motivated. There are people right now, guys, who must sell and must buy, period.
Yeah.
And they're in Philly too. So find them and serve
Okay.
them well.
Yep.
Definitely doing that.
And we're up against the clock, so just one final thought for you, Karina, for everyone else, and then we'll let you go.
One final thought.
Yep, for everyone.
Like Gary's question, what's the one thing you think you should tell them we haven't told them yet? You know, yeah, here, I'll give you this. Our coach said to us, John Vandergast is our coach. He coaches our exec team. And he said to us the other day to write this question down. Like literally, you guys, write this question down.
Yep.
Ready? When this is all over, how do I want to say I showed up?
Wow, that's awesome.
When this is all over, how do I want to say I showed up? So then write the answer down. We have 1 minute. You can write your answer. Like it should be like that. Okay. Now right before your answer, write down, in times of choice, I choose to. And keep that with you, because here's the thing. Every morning we get up, we have choices all day long of how we're showing up, what our mindset is, what we believe is possible, and what activities and actions we're going to do to get there. Right. And if you start that with the intention of how you want to show up when this is all over, hindsight's 2020, right? So right now, start with hindsight. What do you want to look back on and go, this is how I showed up for my clients, for my team, for my family, for my community, and you'll feel really fulfilled.
That's awesome. Thanks, Karina. I know I'm going to let you go. It's 8:31, so I know you got another call. So appreciate you pouring into us.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Karina.
My honor. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Go get them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karina.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
You got it.